What's up, y'all? It's Cloudy. Today we're going to be going over the most basic Gibby tips and tricks to the more advanced, like bubble fighting, lurching, and stuff like that. If you guys have any questions, leave it down in the comments. I'll make sure to respond to you guys. With that being said, let's get into the video. Alright, we're going to get into the abilities. We're going to start off with this gun shield. It has 50 HP, and if it gets destroyed, it's on a 9-second cooldown. It does have bleed throughs. Like if you get shot with a Kraber and you have your arm shield, it will damage your armor, not just your shield. Next we have his bubble. This is going to be the main focus of the video since it's basically his entire kit, but we'll get into all of that later in the video. Third, we have his ult. His ult is pretty self-explanatory. It comes down, does 40 a tick, and you're slowed for like 8 seconds, I believe. All right, we're gonna start off with his arm shield. It's pretty straightforward. As most of you know, Gibby's arm shield does reflect arc stars.
Throw an arc star.
So typically you want to peek doors or anything with your ADS shield since you don't know what's going on. Since you are slowed when you are ADS, this is a way to eliminate that. This is for the M&K users. If you're on roller, I don't know what the inputs are, but you'll be able to visual learn. We're gonna go over 131 grip. What the 131 is, it's a pointer, middle finger on scroll wheel, and a ring finger on your mouse too. All you're gonna do is just pull out your arm shield, hold down your ADS. You can either lurch into a B-hop or you can just slide and then start B-hopping. I'll show you what that looks like in a third-person POV. It may look a little goofy, but I promise you it's worth learning. There's really no right or wrong way to use them. Just make sure it fits your playstyle. The only crucial times you need to hold your arm shield out are like when you're fighting in bubbles and stuff like that. There is a toggle feature on the arm shield. I do not recommend turning this off since there is no point. The only time I can think that you would need to turn off the arm shield is like if you're sniping from like a long distance and you're not trying to get spotted, but I don't know. It's up to you. Alright, now that we've gone over everything arm shield related, we're gonna move on to the bubble now. Some loadouts I like running are the any shotgun really, except Mozam. Any shotgun, wingman especially, is really good in the bubble. You'll be jiggle peeking a lot, so highly recommend shotguns. I'd say the main thing is time management, just knowing when your bubble is gonna go out. The Gibby bubble stays up for 12 seconds, but there's gonna be an audio cue and a little visual cue, and it will tell you when it's going to go down. And basically once you hear it right there, you have 5 seconds to react before the bubble goes down. You only get it once every 30 seconds. Using it wisely is definitely it's important. Alright, another thing we're gonna go over is nades and arc stars. So if the enemy is pushing me, I can either nade the inside of the bubble, and so they have to be forced out of the bubble, or they take the damage from the nade, and then at that point I can either shoot them, or they might just even die from the arc star. So to clarify, it basically makes the bubble unplayable, and so they have to either play their side of the bubble. I can have time to get a heal off or something, or they have to take the damage and risk dying. As we went over with the audio and visual cue on the bubble, you're gonna wait till the final 2 seconds of the bubble and you're gonna chuck some arc stars on top, and by the time the bubble goes away, it's just gonna kill them. Now that you know how the bubble works, we're gonna move on to the bubble placements. As long as the bubble is favoring your side, say my opponent is right here, I'm gonna bubble back here and then I'm gonna start shooting him. So typically you never want to let your opponent play your bubble. If you're on low ground and the enemy is on height, bubbling down on your feet and then climbing, see, he's gonna have to peek this. This is a good bubble because he's gonna have to peek that and expose himself. I'll show you guys an example. I'm able to protect my climb and take no damage and possibly even get the kill. So yeah, that just helps with free climbs. Also, bubbling on doors. You're gonna bubble right around the 5-meter mark. And so I get it perfectly inside, and so he cannot hit my bubble at all. I mean, hit my door. And this is also an aggressive bubble because if I just bubble back here again, I'm able to just kick the door and he's gonna have to shoot the shield. I'll show you what that looks like. Next thing is if you're getting chased on zip lines, literally bubble the bottom of the zip line and ride it for free. Fun fact, you can actually throw bubble on pad. It's pretty useless, but it's good to know. Okay, now we're gonna go over the ways you should play the bubble if you're at a disadvantage. The thing is, everyone thinks it's sweet. Even if they crack me, I'm just gonna run away and throw the bubble as far as I can and play the outside, play this side. You can literally just bait the enemy by doing this because 9 times out of 10 you'll probably get the bat off. The thing about the bubble, it puts it on an even playing ground, so it's 50-50. But since I'm Gibby, it's kind of like 75-25. If your opponent knows how to play the bubble, you can always just punch them out of the bubble and get the upper hand. Alright, now that we've gone over the basics of the bubble, we're going to go on to bubble fighting and predicting your opponent. So everything that I'm going to touch on from here on out is going to be inspired by Mandy and Lou, since I studied their craft the most. They're also some of the most influential people for me. That's why I started playing Apex. I saw the competitive scene and I saw how dominant Gibby was at the time. The whole point of bubble fighting is to take as least amount of damage you can and put out the most damage on the other team. You can't always be the aggressor on the bubble because you will die. And most people aren't like in tune with bubble fighting. It's pretty much a guaranteed kill as Gibby. You don't want to be strafing in and out like all the time. You have to be patient and wait for your opponent to react sometimes. And it's all about reading your opponent. That's the whole thing with bubble fighting. I'm gonna show you guys a clip where I predict my opponent's movement. He slides into me, I'm letting him do all the work. And then on the last shot, I'll wait for him to peek me, and it's an easy one tap. Here's a different clip where I decide not to play the bubble. Instead, I just lurch and start punching. So over time, naturally, you'll just gain instincts like this. You'll get used to reading out the opponent. For our last clip, the clip where the enemy decides to push me, I immediately slide bubble back. I keep my momentum by B-hopping and I come back towards him, and I'm able to get a 2-pump before he even gets the option to play my bubble. This is going to be the more advanced part of the guide because you do have to have tap strafe bound. So go ahead and bind your move forward to scroll up and your scroll wheel down to jump. My favorite is bubbling on somebody and hitting a little backwards tap strafe, because it's going to bait their shot, and that's huge because I can immediately clap back with a 100 pump.
Taking fire, brothers. Hey, I'm getting shot.
For that backwards lurch, the inputs. So you're going to run at your opponent, jump, scroll wheel, ASD, and crouch. I'm going to go ahead and slow it down for you guys. So it's hold W, jump, scroll wheel up, ASD, and then crouch. Now for just lurching in general, there's like a bunch of different ones. I'm not going to go over all of them. The typical like Raz strafing in the bubble, I have the inputs right below me. I'd say definitely try to get the B-hop down, because once you do that, you're able to just maintain your momentum and you'll be able to just dance around. Is coming out like that, a little zigzag motion. Again, you can always do this ADS, so you can keep your arm shield strafing back into the bubble. Any of these lurches are really good to start off the fight because no one's gonna expect it. So yeah, learning how to strafe in the bubble is entirely up to you. That comes with practice. I'd say it's just up to your creativity for any lurch you want to learn. These are just a few of my favorites. I'm gonna put on screen some different 1v1s me and Xylus did to help you understand how lurching works in the bubble.
I need to unbind this feed though.
So yeah, I would just go in the range, you know, practice like different strafes. It's entirely up to you and your playstyle, how you want to attack the fight. I hope you learned a thing or two about bubble fighting. Again, most of this is situational, so the last thing we're going to cover today is his ult. There's not much to cover on the ult. Typically, you're going to be wanting to use this to get the enemy off height. This is pretty basic, but you can use your ult as a way to create space between you and your opponent. Be mindful of just throwing it because it is on a 3-minute cooldown. I don't have someone to demonstrate this, but if your teammate is down, you're going to want to bubble him, immediately ult your feet, and then start rezzing him. The enemy will either have to let you res, or they'll be stunned by the ult and you'll have the advantage. Instead of using the ult to damage the enemy, you can also use it to cause visual clutter and make it easier for rotations. Say the team is up there, I'm gonna ult here, and then it basically blocks their view, and so I can get an easy rotate. You can actually still wall bounce with your ult out, unlike the bubble where it just puts it away once you wall bounce. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. It's completely up to you and your creativity. So if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you guys. If you learned something new, leave a like, subscribe. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. This video was to share my playstyle and how I learned Gibby and what works for me. Again, there's tons of different ways to play Gibby, so keep in mind this is just my perspective on it. I hope you guys take these tips and use it in your own way. I also hope this video brings more attention to Gibby because Gibby is such a cool character, and I believe the Gibby meta should return. Thanks for tuning in. I'm out of here. Have a good one. Oh my god. Double PK on that boy. Woo! Pointy bang. What the? Bro. Oh.